Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, Odysseus is trapped on Calypso's island, but there are no chains around his wrists and no guards blocking the shore. Instead, Calypso gives him a brilliant blue lotus flower. He eats it, becomes calm, and the life he once knew begins slipping away. The Trojan War fades. Ithaca becomes distant. Even Penelope and Telemachus, the wife and son he has spent years trying to reach, disappear behind a peaceful fog. For 7 years, Odysseus remains on the island, confused, detached, and unable to fully remember why he needs to leave. It is one of the movie's biggest changes from Homer's original story. In the poem, several of Odysseus's men eat the lotus and lose their desire to return home. In the movie, Calypso uses the flower on Odysseus, turning the mythical lotus into something resembling a memory-suppressing drug. And visually, Nolan chose the perfect candidate. The Egyptian blue lotus, a bright blue flower with a golden center that rises from the waters of the Nile. Ancient Egyptian paintings show it beside pharaohs, gods, wine vessels, funerals, and religious ceremonies. It looks exactly like the kind of flower an ancient sorceress would use to erase a man's past. Today, Egyptian blue lotus is still sold online as a psychoactive substance. Sellers claim it can produce relaxation, euphoria, vivid dreams, sedation, and even mild hallucinations. Some people steep it in tea or wine. Others smoke or vape extracts made from the flower. On the surface, the movie's version does not seem completely impossible. Ancient people may have discovered that this flower dulled pain, distorted perception, and pushed traumatic memories into the background. It may not have been a magical spell at all, but something closer to intoxication or drug-like sedation. But there is an immediate problem. Egyptian blue lotus is not actually a true lotus. Its scientific name is Nymphea caerulea, and it is technically a water lily. More importantly, there is no reliable evidence that eating the authentic flower can erase years of memories. There have been reports of people becoming severely intoxicated after using products sold as blue lotus. In one medical case series, 5 people arrived at emergency departments after using blue lotus products. Some became sedated and confused. Others experienced unusual behavior, anxiety, distorted perception, and hallucination-like effects. One man remained convinced that he was still inside his military barracks even after he had been taken to the hospital. That sounds disturbingly similar to Odysseus living inside a false reality while his real home disappears from his mind. But the effects lasted for hours, not 7 years, and all 5 patients recovered. The doctors also could not verify exactly what was inside the products. Most had been bought online, several were concentrated vape products, and none proved that an ordinary blue lotus flower was responsible. Then scientists examined authentic Egyptian blue lotus extracts, and the mystery became even stranger. The flower is often claimed to contain 2 psychoactive compounds called nuciferine and apomorphine. These chemicals are repeatedly blamed for its supposedly dreamlike and sedating effects. But a modern chemical analysis found that authentic blue lotus extract contained virtually none of the compounds commonly used to explain its reputation. Commercial products also had chemical profiles that differed significantly from the real flower. That means someone could buy a product labeled Egyptian blue lotus, experience powerful intoxication, and never know whether the effect came from the flower, an unusually concentrated extract, a different plant, or another substance added to the product. The beautiful blue flower may have an ancient reputation, but the scientific evidence does not support the idea that one bite could erase your wife, your child, and 7 years of your life. To find a substance that genuinely interferes with memory, we have to leave Calypso's island and enter a modern hospital. A patient is lying on a bed before a medical procedure. A doctor gives them a sedative called Midazolam. The patient becomes relaxed and drowsy. They may continue speaking. They may recognize the people around them. They may follow instructions and even appear awake. But several hours later, they remember almost none of it. Midazolam belongs to a class of drugs called benzodiazepines, and one of its most important effects is anterograde amnesia. Anterograde amnesia means the brain struggles to form new lasting memories after the drug takes effect. Imagine that your memory is a film being recorded. Midazolam does not usually destroy the scenes already stored on the hard drive. It interferes with the camera while new scenes are happening. You may still be conscious. You may answer questions and react to events. But when you wake up later and attempt to replay the experience, much of the footage is missing. This is not merely theoretical. Midazolam is intentionally used during certain procedures, partly because patients may not remember unpleasant events afterward. In one study cited in its medical labeling, many patients had no memory of cards shown to them after receiving the drug. So, a real chemical can leave someone awake and responsive while preventing the brain from properly preserving what is happening. That is the closest real-world match to the memory effect shown in the movie. But it still cannot do what Calypso's Lotus does. Midazolam primarily blocks the creation of new memories. It does not normally reach backward through the mind and erase a person's marriage, child, kingdom, and entire reason for crossing the ocean. Odysseus's condition in the movie is closer to retrograde amnesia, the loss of information formed before the memory loss began. Drugs can sometimes cause confusion and patchy loss surrounding the period of intoxication, but there is no known substance that can safely and precisely erase selected autobiographical memories for years while leaving a person otherwise functional. A dose strong enough to cause extreme unconsciousness or brain injury might destroy memory, but that would not resemble the peaceful, controlled state shown in the movie. It would be a medical emergency, so the Lotus is doing more than erasing memory. Calypso is not merely preventing Odysseus from recording new experiences. She is suppressing the memories that cause him pain. The war, the men he lost, the destruction of Troy, and the family he failed to return to are buried beneath the flower's calming effect. For that emotional numbness, substances such as opioids may offer another partial comparison. Opioids can produce sedation, euphoria, pain relief, and detachment from distress. They do not normally delete old memories, but they can make responsibilities, relationships, and long-term goals feel less urgent than immediate relief. A person may remember home perfectly and still stop trying to reach it. That distinction matters because the movie's Lotus appears to attack Odysseus in two different ways. First, it clouds his memory. Second, it removes the emotional pressure that would force him to question where he is. Midazolam resembles the first effect. Opioids resemble the second. Egyptian blue lotus supplies the appearance and ancient atmosphere, but no single real flower or drug combines all three. And that may explain why Calypso's method is so effective. A normal prison constantly reminds you that you are trapped. The walls, the locks, and the guards give you something to fight against. But Odysseus does not see a prison. He wakes beside the ocean in a beautiful place, receives something that removes his trauma, and gradually forgets that another life is waiting for him. He does not need to be physically restrained because the reason to escape has been chemically buried. From Calypso's perspective, the flower may even look merciful. Odysseus is haunted by war, guilt, and the deaths of his men. The lotus gives him relief, but that relief comes at the cost of his identity. Without his memories of Penelope, Telemachus, and Ithaca, he is no longer entirely Odysseus. He is simply a man living comfortably on an island, unaware that his real life is disappearing without him. So can eating a lotus flower really cause memory loss like in the Odyssey? Not according to the evidence we have. Authentic Egyptian blue lotus may have mild sedating or psychoactive properties, but it has not been shown to erase years of autobiographical memory. Products sold under its name have caused serious confusion and altered perception, but their contents are often uncertain. A benzodiazepine like midazolam can genuinely prevent the brain from forming new memories, even while someone remains responsive, but it cannot normally erase the family and home they already remember. Opium and other opioids can make pain and responsibility feel distant, but they do not selectively delete the past. Nolan's Lotus is therefore not one real drug. It is a fictional combination, the beauty and mystery of Egyptian blue lotus, the memory disruption of midazolam, and the emotional escape of an opioid. A flower that does not simply make Odysseus forget where home is. It makes him forget why home ever mattered.